Everyone online has dated a narcissist, and everybody's ex is a narcissist. Let's even pretend that we don't know is a lie, and people are just giving fancy names to everyone that holds them. But we cannot deny the fact that these people actually do exist. There are narcissists out there, and the chances that you are going to date them is quite high. Now I'm here to help you so that you don't even get to date them in the first place. In this video, I'll be sharing 5 warning signs that you can spot right on the first date that will help you know that the person is a narcissist. If you like this kind of videos and you have not subscribed, you're a narcissist. I said what I said. So let's even start with a clear definition of what narcissism is, so that we'll be sure that we are on the same page. Narcissism is a personality style that is marked by an excessive focus on self, a need for admiration, and lack of empathy for others. In its very severe form, it is narcissistic personality disorder, and this one is a clinical diagnosis. I want you to put on your scholarly cap as we read together the diagnostic criteria that clinical psychologists and psychiatrists use to diagnose someone of narcissistic personality disorder. The person must have 5 or more of the following: a grandiose sense of self-importance, preoccupation with fantasies of unlimited power, success, and so on, a belief that he or she is special and unique and can only be understood by special people and should only relate to special people, requiring excessive admiration, a sense of entitlement, interpersonally exploitative, lacks empathy, often envious of others, and shows arrogant, haughty behaviors or attitude. So, if 5 or more of the following is existing in a person, we can say with certainty that the person has narcissistic personality disorder. Here are some ways it can show up on your first date that you can begin to suspect that this person is someone to avoid. The first sign is the pattern of conversations. Someone who is a narcissist constantly dominates the conversation and tries to make it about themselves. This stems from their sense of self-importance that is very high and unrealistic. So when you are talking and try to share something that is personal to you, they only say the minimum required for them to switch the conversation again and take it back to themselves and to tell you more about themselves, to tell you their own story. So when you are talking, you find them constantly interrupting you. And even where natural loops exist in your communication that should spur them to ask questions, they will not ask questions just because they're never interested in what you are saying. For instance, if you are telling them about an exam that you wrote and you say it this way: I wrote my exam last week and I got an A. I am a bit happy. Now, someone who is interested in what you are saying and someone who is paying attention should ask something like, why are you getting an A and you're a bit happy? Shouldn't an A make you very happy? That's showing you that they're interested in what you're saying. But someone who is a narcissist, they will not even listen. Immediately you just say, I wrote this exam, I'm a bit happy, I got an A. You say, okay, I've been getting A all my life. They will just try to switch it as soon as possible to their own. They want you to constantly be listening so that of course you can keep admiring them. The second sign is one that you should actually pay much attention to, and this is how they treat others. When someone is trying to impress you, when they are trying to make you fall in love with them, they are going to do many nice things. So you cannot take just how they treat you as a perfect revealer of their character. Their character is going to be revealed in how they treat others that they are not trying to impress. So from a first date setting, when you begin to notice rudeness, entitlement, condescending remarks to the waiters, to the security men, that is just one red sign that this person does not seem to see the value in others. They only prioritize themselves, prioritize their need. So they will always spot wrongs in everything that everyone around them do. The waiter will never do their job good enough, even when they're offering very excellent service. Because someone who is a narcissist does not understand the concept of giving praise to others. They always want the praise to be on themselves. Instead of just acknowledging, oh, this waiter is such a good person, or this bartender, he did a great job, the DJ that's playing the song is doing a great mix. They want to use the opportunity to show you how amazing they are. So they are going to find some nasty things to say about the person just to tell you that they are very good at everything. They are someone that should be admired. So how they treat others and how they talk about others, how they talk to others is one clear revealer that this person is a narcissist. The third sign is grandiosity and dropping names of successful people in order to increase their social status. Grandiosity in its basic form is just excessive bragging and talking too much about their accomplishment, even when it is not natural to the conversation. Now, in every conversation, it is normal if people tell you about the good things they have done. Of course, it's even a first date. Everybody's trying to present themselves in a good light. But It is easy to notice when this person is not just trying to tell you about themselves, but they're trying to tell you about themselves in a way that will make you admire them, and it's very unnatural. So if you're talking about your job, for instance, you tell them, I work in so and so industry. When they want to tell you about their jobs, instead of focusing on what they do in the job and how the job is impacting their life and all of that, they are going to take the direction of telling you about how very great they are at the job, how everybody in the company is dependent on them, and how if they leave the company today, the business is going to collapse because they are the pillar of the company. Like, they can't seem to say anything else apart from the amazing things they have done. So if you ask them questions like, what is the worst moment, what is like the most shameful moment or most unsuccessful moment you have had in your job, they will not be able to point out unsuccessful moment. Or your unsuccessful moment will be things like, I was supposed to make $1 billion in a month, but I ended up making 980 million. I think that's my worst moment. That's like, you can see just this sense of bragging and showing that I am the superior person. The fourth sign is lack of accountability. Now, these points are flowing into each other because it's just their personality. How they do one thing is how they do everything. Now, we just talked about how they cannot admit that they had bad moments at their job. So also, they cannot admit that they were wrong at any point. One very obvious way that this shows is when they're talking about their previous relationships. If you ask them, what made you break up with your ex? The story is going to be 100% about how horrible the person's ex is. Now, I agree that there are people who date bad partners, but for every person who is honest with themselves, if you access your previous relationship, you can see ways that you contributed to the end of the relationship. Even if the person contributed to majority of the issues, at least there will still be one or two times that you didn't respond as you should that contributed to the collapse of the relationship. There will be some lessons that you have learned about yourself on how you can handle situations better. But someone who is a narcissist will never admit that. They will never see they are wrong. So when they are talking about their parents, when they are talking about their family, when they are talking about their colleagues at work, every other person is always in the wrong. Every bad situation, every feud that you have been in, the people are always in the wrong. And this is not just about other people, they are going to bring it home with you as well. So if, like the first point where we say they don't listen, if you try to call them out and say, I'm trying to say something, you are not listening, instead of them to acknowledge that, okay, I'm sorry, I'm not listening, try to make it about you. You do not present yourself like someone who is still interested in talking. That's why I did not know that you are still talking. That's why I interrupted. If that you told me you're still talking, I would have stopped talking. They will always make it about the other people and they are never in the wrong. Clear sign of narcissism. This fifth one will look funny and counterintuitive, but it's still part of it. And that is love bombing and giving you too much intensity in love. Everybody loves an intentional person. Everybody loves someone who can just come direct and tell you that, okay, I'm not here to play games, I'm here to date you, and all of that. The difference between someone who is just a direct and intentional person and someone who is love bombing is in the intensity you feel as a person. So someone who is a direct person, they're going to tell you upfront that I love you, I want to do this, you're a very beautiful person, I think you are great, and all of that. And you are going to have space, like there is space in what they are saying, like there's room for you to accept, there's room for you to decline. But it is love bombing when it seems like your consent is not even required, your opinion about them is not even required, like this is all I have to give, like you just have to accept my love. Rather than being steady and consistent, this is just intense and overwhelming, and even you can feel that I'm not having enough time to think about this. Like they are making the decisions for you, they are rushing you into a world that they have designed for you, and you just have to say yes. And the reason why they do this is just to maintain a form of control and dependency. Because when they have lavished you with too much compliment, you are the most beautiful woman in the world. Like of all the men in the world, you are the only one that clicks. Like you just met me for 2 hours. How do you know this is about me? How do you know that I have the best character in the world? Like this thing is not adding up. What they are seeking to achieve is that if they give you all these exciting feelings, you are going to be so attached to them and you are not going to leave them. Because most likely they will have learned from experience that people will not stay too long around them because of their personality. So they will just try to do anything as much as possible to get you to a point of dependency where you now have to stay with them because there's now something you are getting from them that you not like to miss out on. So when you meet a person who is not saying, I like you and I want to get to know you better, but a person who is saying, I like you and you have to accept, and if you do not accept, I'm going to be very upset with you. Those are two different things. One is love bombing, one is too much intensity, and the other one is expressing interest and giving you a room to choose. I would like to add one bonus sign that can help your approach to all of this, which is lack of empathy. People who are narcissistic do not show empathy. And how this plays out is that there is no genuine interest or care, especially when you are sharing things that are emotional to you. So maybe you have had a horrible experience and you're trying to bring them into your world to share in your pain. Like, they listen to you in that they keep quiet and hear everything you are saying, but there seems to be no emotional attachment to what you're saying. Like, your sadness is not reflecting on their face. Like, one way humans react generally is that when someone is sharing with you something that is emotional, something that is sensitive to them, if you are truly in tune with what they are saying, unconsciously your face will begin to mirror their emotions. I know different people have different ways of expressing some emotion, but in the different ways humans express emotions, you can still tell that this person is feeling what I'm feeling. But someone who is narcissistic will just be very cold. Like, they're just hearing your emotional story as if they are listening to the news, and there's no emotional attachment to it. That's also something to watch out for. In all this that we have said, the whole interaction is just going to be very off. You might not be able to place it directly, like, okay, this is what's happening, this is what's happening, this is what's happening. But the first thing you are going to notice is that this conversation is off. Like, I have talked to humans all my life, and this is not the typical way it flows. Something is off. But that should not push you to a point where you begin to pick individual signs. Maybe just someone that is not so good at listening, or someone that is not so empathetic and they're not expressing their emotions very well. You now pick the individual sign and begin to label the person as a narcissist. The reason why I read that diagnostic criteria at the beginning was just to emphasize the fact that even clinically, people must possess at least 5 of those signs. So every human has some degree of narcissistic tendencies. There's sometimes where I don't listen to people as much as I should. There are sometimes where I crave for admiration more than I should. So every human being has some narcissistic tendencies. But that does not mean they are outrightly a narcissist. If we go by that, even you that are watching this, you're a narcissist. But when you see many of these signs, 5 and above, manifesting in the person, then there's nothing else to worry about. Of course, you cannot diagnose them, but you can know that this is someone that's going to be very difficult to deal with. And I might as well not proceed with this relationship, because it's not going to end in any place good, especially if the person has not even got to a point of awareness where they know that something is wrong with them and they're trying to fix it, but they think they are fine, they think you're in the wrong and they are right. That relationship is going to be very stressful. Have you ever experienced someone that is a narcissist? Like, based on everything we have discussed so far, you have examined the person and you say, okay, this person has all these signs. I'd like you to share your experience in the comment section and tell us how it was for you.